Hey, would you look at that? We're at 1,000 miles. So you probably came across this video because you're looking at buying a bike on Amazon because you're probably a beginner, just like I was. And you want something relatively cheap, relatively reliable, and something that's not too fast that you're gonna hurt yourself on. Those are the reasons why I bought this. And in the last month since getting my license, I have put over 1,000 miles on this thing. This is my second speedometer. I installed an aftermarket speedometer shortly after getting my bike, but we're roughly at 1,000, give or take. Maybe give another 100 miles in there before the speedometer. Today we're going to be talking about my thoughts on the first 1,000 miles. If I would buy this again as a beginner bike, if I was a beginner again, even though I still am. And the overall pros and cons with purchasing something like this. So we'll start with a couple reasons why I purchased this bike. I first got into this journey kind of when I bought my e-bike probably 4 months ago. And I started riding that around and I needed a little bit more speed. I didn't like going on bike paths the whole time. It couldn't keep up with traffic, so I didn't feel safe in traffic. So I signed up to get my motorcycle license. And with that, I realized I had already spent a lot of money on the e-bike. I didn't want to spend too much money on a motorcycle. And we were nearing summer, so the used prices for everything was super high. Anybody who's looked for a motorcycle knows how crazy the prices can be going into summer. So I went to Amazon and I found this Hawk 250. It's called the TBR7 in some places. There's a DLX version, which is fuel injected. This one is not, it's carbureted. And we'll talk about why I bought this version that is carbureted a little bit later. But it was for good reason. So I mainly bought it because it was cheap. And I did a bunch of research about it online and it seemed reliable if you're willing to put some time into it. And another thing I wanted to learn with getting my first bike is I wanted to kind of learn how to work on it, at least general maintenance. And a bike like this, you'll find it's very, very simple. The parts are pretty easy to find and a lot of old Honda parts fit right on. Because the clone of the old Honda engines. And with that, it makes it a very good platform for you to learn how to work on your motorcycle. When you get into the more expensive and more complicated bikes, everything becomes a longer task. With this, it's all easily accessible. You can get to almost every single part of the engine. You can learn how to adjust your valves, change your oil, adjust your throttle and your clutch in both places, change out the carb, clean the jets, learn if you want to do a cold air filter or an airbox filter. So that was one of the reasons. I knew I wanted to put some time into learning it, and I figured this would be a good platform for that. The mods that I have on this, mainly the performance mods, is I modded my airbox to allow for more airflow. I put a 28mm Nibby carburetor on it. That really opened it up. I have a JFG racing exhaust. I bought all of this on Amazon. I got links in the description. And the combination of those things really helped open up the bike. It's still not that powerful, but it feels significantly more peppy. The throttle response is what I noticed immediately with the Nibby carb. I also upgraded my tires. I put Shinko 705s on here with heavy duty tubes, and the feeling of riding got improved immediately. The quality just jumps through the roof at that point. I was riding those knobbies for a good 300 miles. And what kind of sucks about knobby tires is if there's like imperfections in the ground and in the street, which there is here, the knobbies like grip into them, so you can get sent into like little wobbles at high speed if there's a line in the ground. But with these, that's not a problem at all. See, it's not fast, but it's fun. And I also geared it up. I put a 45 tooth sprocket in the back and a 17th tooth in the front. Stock, it comes with a 15 in the front and a 50 in the back. So I can reach top speed a little bit easier, and I'm not sitting at such high RPMs all the time. I can cruise a little bit better. You must know this thing stock comes geared insanely low. You'll only get like 8 miles an hour out of first gear, and third and fourth gear are basically unusable. So one of the first mods you're going to want to do is change the gearing so that you can actually use fourth and fifth gear. Even third, I can cruise around at like 20 miles an hour. Can use most of it. Another big reason I got this bike is the fact that it is so slow. You're really only going to be going like 65, 70 absolutely tops. in a bike like this. You can find different ways to make it go a little bit faster, but I definitely wouldn't recommend it. It's not made for those speeds. So it's a good bike for a beginner to get, to help force them within their limits. I know sometimes I can push myself a little hard, so I got a bike that wasn't gonna let me easily throw myself into a tree, you know? Now, there's definitely a few things I don't like about the bike, and a few things that I don't like are gonna sound a lot like the things that I do like. Firstly, with a bike like this, the carbureted version, for you to have an enjoyable experience, it is pretty much guaranteed that you're gonna have to mod it. The carb that it comes with is kind of shitty, although you can get into it. You have to have it set up a way where you can't even get into it without severely modifying it. So you're gonna end up just buying a new carb for it, and those are pretty much plug and play and not that expensive. You're probably going to want new grips or new handlebar. A lot of people upgrade that right away. The tires that it comes with, if you're driving on the street, are kind of shitty. The gearing isn't great. So all the things that I did upgrade are all things that you don't absolutely need to do, but if you are going to be riding one of these every day, like I have, you're really going to want to do it. My biggest complaint with this, to be honest, has to be the seat. I absolutely hate the seat. It feels weird to sit on. It kind of pitches you forward, gets you like pushed all on your nuts. It is not a very comfortable experience. I've seen a lot of people have shaved down their seats to have it more flat all the way back because it has like a bump in it, which makes another reason why it's uncomfortable. But the overall seat texture is bad. Even if you find a comfortable position, it won't be comfortable after long. Sorry, puppies. Got them all fired up. Now, would I buy this again as a beginner? Absolutely. I really think it's damn near the perfect beginner bike if you not only want to learn about motorcycles, but have something that's going to be fast enough where you have fun everywhere you go, but not so fast where you're going to be tempted to go kill yourself on the highway. Because you can go on the highway, it's just not really safe, to be honest. You're going to want to stay off the highway and use your car for those trips. Another con, I don't know if I'd say this is a con or a pro. I consider it a pro because I like dirt bikes, but the fact that it looks so much like a dirt bike can be a con depending on your area. I know around here people absolutely hate dirt bikes, and they think anything that looks semi like a dirt bike must be illegally stolen and be used to do wheelies at stoplights, and that's it. So keep that in mind. There does have a weird stigma depending on where you live. You should know that though. People are vibing at the beach today. Another thing that's awesome about this bike is you really do have an ability to go almost anywhere. There's been a lot of points where I've cut over grassy knolls and popped curbs and stuff like that just because the ability is there. It's kind of got like the supermoto type of flexibility because it is built to be technically an enduro. Wow. I wouldn't do any hard enduro riding with this bike. A curb here and there is not too bad. You just gotta be careful because the front rim is known to bend. So that is going to conclude our video. If you guys do plan on purchasing an Amazon bike, make sure you do a ton of research. This is one of the better Amazon bikes out there. I know there's a lot of Honda Grom clones that are also pretty nice, and where I get a lot of my information is Facebook groups. So I know Facebook is kind of weird. I don't really like using it anymore, but in terms of getting motorcycle information and joining motorcycle communities, Facebook is running it right now. So see you guys there. Peace.